Isekai is actually a genius and one of the best genres. Since the mass production of Isekai anime, the genre has kind of become a joke in the anime community. Most of the shows are generic trash about an overpowered main character gaining a harem of candy hair-colored girls. There's so much potential to tell wonderful stories. Isekai, the genre of a character being transported to another world, has existed, well, forever. The escapist fantasy of leaving your world and being in a place where the average people become unusual and special. A genre that has a strong weakness with women characters being over-sexualized and making them pretty shallow. Many shows have done well, but none have ever been the GOAT of Isekai since it first started airing. On a normal field trip, 3 girls from different classes, Hikaru, Umi, and Fu, are transported from their world to Sephiroth, and over the course of their journey, they learn to become friends, become warriors and knights, who fight the evil Zagato, who has captured Princess Emeralda. In many ways, it's your standard fantasy anime setup. During their journey, they gain powerful mechs, and with their magical girl abilities, they hunt down and fight all of Zagato's goons. What makes Rayearth work so well is even using it such a basic setup is the strong character interaction between Hikaru, Umi, and Fu, each having personal issues that require them to grow and learn from each other as people. The world is a very standard anime fantasy, from strange forests, magical creatures. Nothing about this world is really... It's like a Slayers in many ways, with its world design, your standard fantasy shit. When they face the evil Zagato in the finale, Zagato reveals that he was going to marry her. At first, a Bowser situation, but Emeralda reveals that she called the knights not to kill Zagato, because they want her to kill her.
Please, be free.
You see, Emeralda is the spiritual hold of Sephiroth, and she's not allowed to love anyone in particular. And so, in her own selfishness, she asks the knights to kill her. Incredible twist. And this causes our heroes, who have been stoic characters on their journey, to feel hopeless and awful. And after they kill Emeralda, freeing her of her own curse, they enter deep depression and trauma from this adventure. Hikaru, who's been like this energetic, outbeat character for the entire time, is now silent and quiet. It takes her a long time to recover, and this is the effects that the Isekai adventure has on her. They take such a basic fantasy trope to save the princess, they turn on its head, forever leaving Rayearth as one of the most incredible pieces of anime and Isekai. Alright, so I'm going to go to Live Chart and see the first Isekai I see, and I'm just going to watch it and see what happens. You see, most Isekai is about a generic anime guy getting reincarnated, becoming stupid strong, and then getting his harem of girls. So I found this show, Am I Actually the Strongest? And it's about this loser who does nothing all day but play video games. He dies randomly because he's pathetic, and the goddess shows up and decides to reincarnate him, and they give him overpowered, but he's overpowered in a way where no one knows he's actually overpowered because it's too strong to be detected on their levels system or something. And so his entire goal is to do nothing all day. He just wants to be doted upon, and yes, while the pilot has done little to differentiate itself from the medium of Isekai at all, it's pretty standard. My prediction was pretty spot on. It's a little pedophilic in a lot of ways. I think I have to mute that word. Wants to hit on his 8-year-old niece, and he is without a doubt 30 at this point. He knows it too. It's really disgusting. This is more deeper on the entire issue that anime has a lolly problem. I'm not saying Isekai doesn't have issues, it's just that it has potential to be good. Of course, the overpowered archetype has been done well before and can be interesting. Overlord, where we watch a normal guy slowly become more and more corrupt as his powers destroy his mind, and he becomes more like the villain that he actually is. Sword Art Online had a better setup than the show I just watched. I already forgot its name. With the horror setup of everyone being trapped in a game and, you know, I mean, it's a meme, but if you die in the game, you die in real life, is a good setup. It makes you very scared for the potential of all these people who have gotten lost and trapped. If only they executed the show better. And then we have, like, the opposite, Log Horizon, where we have these characters who are also trapped in a video game, but there are more. We watch as they gain apathy to the world, as the fact that they can't die and they literally can't feel anything destroys them. And while the world is like scared of these outsiders who cannot be killed, seeing them as gods, because that's what they are, they could destroy them at a moment's notice. And they might, because sometimes they just kill NPCs because, well, we kill NPCs when we play games. It's a truly horrifying reality and concept. This is just more ways that the Isekai genre has such great ways. I'm not the biggest fan of RPG mechanics in isekais. I think the more interesting aspect is the whole being in a new world and exploring the world through and through, rather than exploring game mechanics and manipulating game mechanics to become more powerful. It can be done well, of course. My Life as a Villainess is a great example of this. It takes place of a dating sim of where the main character gets reincarnated as the role of the main villain of the game. And because she knows how the game goes through, she tries to manipulate events in her favor so that she doesn't get killed at the end of the game like happens in every ending. And so we're watching her as she plays through and befriends characters in ways that her character normally wouldn't act. This is by all accounts a harem anime, and better be stated as a poly anime? That seems accurate. Katori is a protagonist who thinks through on every plan, but is extremely oblivious to how everyone actually feels about her, because at the heart, she is a weeb who plays a lot of video games, so she's kind of a giant dweeb. She's lovable and adorable, and I just want her to win at all costs. She's only overpowered in her knowledge of the game. She is, by all other accounts, very weak by overpowered anime characters. By the end of the first season, she has used up all of her ability to know the future because season 1 ends at the end point of it. Is it third season? What do you do after that? She doesn't know anything at that point. You know what? I'm gonna watch that. I'm too hyped. I'm too hyped. The last in the overpowered archetype characters that I really want to talk about is Ascendance of a Bookworm. Mine, who's this nerd who just wants to read books all day, accidentally gets killed by a ton of books, and she gets reincarnated to a poor family. And because they take this world a little bit more seriously than a normal world, books are rare and they're hard to get your hands on, so most people are illiterate because paper's hard to make. So the show is about her trying to find her way to get books so she can read them. But because that's super difficult for a poor family, she uses her knowledge of how our current world works to make inventions so she can make enough money to read books, or sometimes just to try and make books outright. In one of my favorite arcs of the show is her trying to mass produce paper. And we see her as she, even though she has the knowledge of our world, struggle to figure out how to make. One of the times she tries to use this old Japanese method of making them by graining it with rice or something. I don't really know what she was doing. It was just really cool to see her just experiment around with trying to make paper in a very frail body, and how she just plays around with her knowledge. And throughout the time, she slowly befriends more and more people. And some people start to wonder, has Mine gifted by the gods, or is she not the Mine we used to know? Because there used to be a Mine before her, and of course she's very different, which is a very interesting way to play with it, as she has to, in a sense, hide her identity as not being the Mine they knew. There's a lot of nuance to the show that is really well done. It's too bad the art direction season 2 falls off a cliff so hard I want to die. Alright, that's about all I got to say about Isekai for today. Subscribble.